Give to.
All right, guys, it's 7 p.m. I want to welcome you all here to the regularly scheduled Spring Hill City Council meeting for April 14th, 2022. And if we could all stand, if you're able to, for the invocation.
Sure. So it is Holy Week, right? So all of our local commissioners are busy with that today. So tomorrow will be a Good Friday. I'll say the blessing. If you bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I pray for our council meeting tonight. I pray for everyone in this room, watching remotely, and all our neighbors here in Spring Hill. Lord, please bless our meeting with your guidance and wisdom. Help us to treat our neighbors with compassion and respect. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Deputy Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. North,
Here.
Mr. Van Houten,
Here.
Ms. Roth, Mr. Peel,
Here.
Mr. Young,
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We did have a request the applicant requested to pull items number 10 and 11 from the list. Other than that, is there any other requested changes to the agenda?
Mayor, there may be a need for an additional executive session,
Okay.
which we can either add now and strike later if it's not necessary, or include on there for now. And I would say 5 to 10 minutes at the most
Okay.
for that. And it will follow and I believe that you have a form for a motion to go into it if necessary already.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
I'd rather say it up front so everybody knows in case it's necessary. I'm not sure that it will be.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other requested changes? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as revised.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, 4-1-0, since we have a council member, or 4-0-1, I guess it would be.
Just 400. 400.
4-0. Okay. 4-0-0. All right, next item on the agenda, we'll move on to citizen participation. And the first person we have on the list, if you could come forward and state your name and your address, and the first person is Katie Model.
Hi, I'm Katie Model, and I'm from Spring Hill. Do you need my full address?
Just your, yeah,
Spring Hill's fine?
what's that?
The full address? Okay, it's 20260 West Sycamore Drive. And that's here in Spring Hill. Okay. And this is Indy Joe. And for the record, she's named after my mom, Joanne. Okay. I am here today to request the allowance of backyard chickens within city limits of Spring Hill. Keeping a small flock of chickens in your backyard has many benefits, from supplying you with fresh, healthy eggs from well-cared-for animals to giving you great fertilizer for gardening, providing insect control, as well as being part of the drive to local sustainable food systems. This is stuff we all know and feel. Inflation has gone up 8.5% in the last year, as of March, and it's projected to get up to 14%. That hasn't happened since 1981. From March 2021 to March 2022, the cost of food has gone up 10%. Fertilizer has gone up 80%, and prices of gasoline has gone up 48% than it was last year. Just the cost of eggs has increased 13.7%. With the rise of gas prices and food costs, allowing families to regain some control over their food sources can help ease that burden. And I found all of this on the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and this was all current, 2022. Chickens are a low-maintenance animal. They require a small amount of tending to a day, but can provide a single family enough eggs for weeks, rid lawns of harmful bugs, and provide necessary fertilizer for their gardens. This is the third or fourth time that this has been brought to council. Each time the city has rallied, thinking it would surely pass, only to be let down for reasons that did not make lawful sense. This time, our Chickens for Spring Hill petition has gathered over 250 signatures in just the first 4 days. 4 chickens. And then plus, we have more coming in daily. I think today I checked, it was like 278. And then on top of last year, when this was brought, there were 300 hand-signed signatures given to Mayor Ellis. And then I get so many comments, Facebook messages, text messages about how people want them, and they don't understand how a town like Spring Hill does not, but Overland Park does, and Prairie Village does, and there's so many neighboring communities that do. So I am suggesting an open mind to allowing chickens in our backyards. I have printed off, did they get the resolution? Okay, she has the Overland Park resolution I printed off for each one of you guys. They have really good guidelines on how they've passed it. They start at 1/4 of an acre is when you can start having chickens, and you can have 3. And so it's lot size determines how many chickens you can have. There are revisions that I would suggest just because we are a small farming community, and I don't think we need to be doing everything like suburban Overland Park. A good revision that I would have is if you live on an acre in town, you don't have to have a permit. Overland Park requires when you get to 3 acres, you don't have to have a permit, but I think that there's a lot of like small farming plots here that are on an acre. The other thing that I would suggest is lowering the permit amount. Overland Park has a $100 a year. I would say we're smaller, less people, less permits, $50 a year, then $25 a year after that. Yeah, thank you for your time, and I hope you can all have an open mind, and I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, next person we have on the agenda is Brett Holly or Brett Hull.
My name is Brett Hawley, 21093 Millward Street. I believe I found a conflict of interest in the city's ordinances. One time I asked for a tow dispute in my city. My vehicle was towed on the 4th. 30 days later, my vehicle would be sold on the 4th. I asked for a tow dispute. There was no such ordinance in my city. My city passed the ordinance the same day that my vehicle could be sold at public auction at 7:08 p.m. when my vehicle could be sold at 11 a.m. So I want to know, like, what are your rights to a tow dispute? Because according to Wyandotte County 35-201 Section H, you cannot have a tow dispute after 30 days. And according to my own city's ordinances, 15-201A.106, it says any person or commercial towing service that tows and impounds a motor vehicle pursuant to this Article 2A, Chapter 15, or any other legal request for towing and impounding by a law enforcement officer of the Spring Hill Police Department shall have a possessory lien as provided for in KSA-1110 and amendments thereto. Wrecker or tower service operators shall comply with the notice and disposition procedures for foreclosure of the lien as set forth in KSA 8-1103 through 8-1108, which means like your vehicle would get sold 30 days, which goes completely against what they say in the hearing procedure, which is 15-201A.105. I have to find the specific one, but it says, that they will hold it until the hearing is held. It's section C. It says, then such vehicle will remain in storage until hearing is had. And so my point is, can the city just make up an ordinance that says the vehicle will be held on the same day that the vehicle can be legally sold?
Okay. I don't have those answers directly for you right now. I'm not a lawyer, but we could definitely check into that and try to get back with you. Okay.
Okay, would the city waive the right to attorney-client privilege for that?
I don't think we'd be able to do that.
Okay, well, yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know, cause, Wyandotte County says you can't, Olathe says you can't. And I just kinda think it sucks, cause, you know, like I asked for one, and then the city council waited until the day of. And then, 44 days later, I showed up in court somehow. Which, honestly, I don't think that's even supposed to happen.
Well, we can definitely look into it and see what our ordinance state.
Because if it's not supposed to happen, then to me, the judge shouldn't have a job because, well, I mean, one ordinance says the vehicle will be sold, the other ordinance says it'll be held. And also, when I requested the hearing, since there wasn't an ordinance, is that even a legal request? Is the request legal only when the ordinance is made? Because they called me the day after they made an ordinance, which would be the 31st day. And they told me to come down and put it in writing. That I had to put my request in writing. Which you cannot request a tow dispute after 30 days. That is fact.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you, sir. All right. We don't have anyone else on the list. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? If not, we'll go ahead and end the citizen participation period. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yep. If you come forward and then just same thing as the others, just state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Lori McLaughlin, and I actually do not live here in Spring Hill. We are the business partner that has been trying to take care of your telephone system. So I'm curious.
Ms. McLaughlin, would you please give your address or your business address?
Oh, I'm sorry, certainly. My address is 5154 Ramsey Street, Shawnee, Kansas, 66226. And the company is Towner Communications. And we are actually located in Mission, Kansas. So I'm curious, your phone system hasn't worked since last Monday. We've had some conversations with a gentleman whose last day was today with the city. I think I've also shared some information with some other folks within the city administration, kind of looking to see what the next plan was. We did put together and responded to an RFP that Antoine had put out. We did presentations, planning for this eventuality. Unfortunately, before the last election, it was kind of sidelined and never mentioned again. Here we are. So, without going through that process again, I am curious what the plan is for a phone system that your citizens can't access you on. There is no more technical support on, and we'd certainly like to re-engage that project. I just can't get anybody to respond to me. So, in your best interest, how can I help you?
Okay. I can't answer that question right here, right now.
Certainly.
But we'd be happy to take, if you have some information, we'd be happy to take
So
that.
I do have the RFP that I responded to last year, with updated scope and pricing and such, because it has been almost a year since this process started. But I have called daily just to kind of check the status, and I get a nice, pleasant woman answering the phone saying they can't hear me. Please call, or please email, or stop by, because we're having trouble with the phone system. So obviously that reflects on us as well. So,
Okay.
may I?
Yeah,
don't
if
know
you-
the
Ma'am, I would
process.
ask, would you please provide that information to the city clerk who is
Yes.
immediately behind you?
Absolutely.
And she will retain the information. And to be clear, you indicated this is an updated proposal?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Simply-
That's all I needed to know.
simply because professional services increased, but otherwise the scope did not change.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If not, we'll go ahead and end citizen participation at this time and move the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Mayor,
I move to approve the consent agenda. What's that?
we have a presentation on the agenda.
Yeah.
Mr. Larry Sumner.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was before. Go ahead, sir. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Mr. Larry Sumner.
Yes, I'm president of the cemetery board, and Christine Hecky, she is the secretary.
Welcome,
So-
guys.
I don't know if I know any of you, or, well, I recognize a couple faces, but would like to invite you all. We have our meeting the first Tuesday of every month. You're welcome to come to the meeting and meet our board members and see what we have planned. I think it'd be good. Christine was telling me it'd be good if you all want to come up to the cemetery sometime and get a tour of the history of Spring Hills, all right up there from the bank robber to the first doctor, woman doctor. So
Let's see some of the projects that we have completed at our cemetery.
we had that flag program in the last couple of years. That's kind of came to a close. We ended up with 35 American flags that we put out during the holidays, you know, of Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And then we have the service flags along the west fence where you can see it from the highway. So that turned out to be very nice. So, and we added a shed up there to help keep them in instead of keeping them all in my barn. I may not be on the committee forever, so we needed a place to store them. And we have our wheelbarrow and other tools and stuff up there, so that's working out. Last year we sold 30 spaces, so we have a lot of spaces still left up there. So it's not like we're gonna be moving on to the new area yet. We are cleaning out the fence lines, kind of cleaning up the place. We've got about half of the cemetery stones leveled, and it was kind of just not looked at for a while. So far, we've leveled them up, reset some of the stones, got plans to do the rest of it. Also, the project we had we computerized it. It's on the city website. Under cemetery, you go to it and you can click on the cemetery map, and it gives you an overview and has a place where you can put in a name and do a search for your loved ones. It also has a gold star by the names of the veterans and tells what war they were in. So there's, I forgot how many there were. There's several hundred up there of veterans. So we're really doing a lot. It's something near and dear to us. Christine and I, we grew up here in town, and our loved ones are up there, and that's where we're gonna be. So, anything else, Christine?
No, I think that's great.
We've been busy, you
Good.
know,
Sounds like it, yeah.
and planning on staying busy. We get a lot of compliments from the people. It's used by like a walking trail. In the afternoons and evenings, families and where bicyclers come through. It's gonna be getting real busy this time of year now. But it's nice.
Great.
How long have each of you been on the cemetery board? Just curious.
Oh, gosh, I've probably been on it, maybe 15 years, maybe probably 15 years, I'd say, maybe a little more. My mom was on it for over 30 years, and then I got on it, and so been there for a long time. It means a lot to us, because like I said, we got family there, and we know that's where we're headed. You know, that's our last stop. So we do take a lot of pride in it. It is very important to us.
That's great.
And I've been there about 4 years on the committee.
Great. How much unused land is there still available?
In the
You guys-
cemetery itself, there's several probably 400 spaces at least.
Gotcha.
And then we have the 10.5 acres. Well,
On
it's
the
not
south
quite
side of the
10.5,
fence.
but almost 10.5 on the south side. It's
Okay.
undeveloped.
Okay.
I was gonna say, have you figured out, I know I did a tour not too long ago or the city, and they said that you were trying to figure out how you were gonna connect to that. Just gonna be a new road, you think, or is there a way to connect where it's at now?
Well, if you come in the gates, there's room.
Is there room right there?
Sharp
Okay.
Left. But then also a block to the south, there is an easement still there of the road that's still there.
I think it's Wilson Street.
Is that for a second entrance to it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Right now, on the farm ground, that subdivision put a circle turnaround on the property. So, I don't know, instead of just a dead end road, somebody paved a turnaround up there.
Yeah.
So that could always be another entrance to it, I guess.
Good.
And you said that you sold 30 spots last year?
Yes.
Okay.
How
And
many we at now this year? We're
I don't know, I just sold one this past week, so,
Yeah.
I don't know how many we sold this year. Maybe so
Maybe
far, 10. maybe?
10, 12 maybe.
About time.
How many do you guys average? Is that about average? 25, 30 about average?
Seems like the
Well,
last couple of years.
Yeah,
it's-
some years are busier than others. Some years, you can't, that's nothing you can really say
Predict.
how many you're gonna get, yeah. But some years are busier than others. We have people come in because their family's there and they wanna be close to their family. Then we have people who, at need, when someone passes away, they need to have a space to bury, so. Anyway, that's how it is for us.
Okay. Any other questions?
But we are getting new gates made, right, as of now.
Oh, great.
The old ones are pulling out of the, the concrete doors, and, we've got our posts set, and the gentleman that was building the gates got COVID, and he's a long hauler, is that what they call that? His equilibrium is screwed up half the time. So, he's getting better with that, so next week, they're gonna be built.
Awesome.
So finally, after about 2 years of,
Pretty close.
yeah, but he got
Year and
hit
a
pretty
half.
hard with the COVID. So
All
we're
right.
looking forward to the new gates.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing those.
Yep, we invite you up anytime,
Yeah, we'd love to give you a tour of what
our
the
phone
cemetery's all
number's on
about.
the website, and, if you got time, I'm retired, and, give me a holler, we'll go up there and walk around.
Sounds good.
Very good. Anything else?
I think I have any other questions?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, now we will move on to the consent agenda. I entertain a motion I move to approve the consent agenda. I entertain a motion. I'll get it right one time.
Second.
You gotta move.
Oh, I thought we.
Entertain a motion, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody's gotta make a motion. I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action. And the first item on the agenda is consider the approval of appropriation order number 2022-04-14. And that, we all have a list of that appropriation order, and there is not a presentation on that one. So I just entertain a motion to approve the appropriation order.
Second.
Is this a,
you gotta.
sorry, somebody's gotta move,
Yeah,
but
You
I
gotta.
have a question real quick.
Sure, yeah, if there's a.
So is this already, would this be for Ms. Armstrong, if I have a question?
If you have a question.
This is all, I'm assuming, budgeted in, we're just doing a formal for payables?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I just wanna make sure.
And this is usually each meeting.
I was to
Yeah.
say, yeah, each time, right?
Yep. Yeah, these are all routine
Cool.
relatively routine stuff that's budgeted.
No, one thing is there are several of the vehicles that were recently purchased are on this appropriation order.
From the last approval that we did?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Hey, real quick, Jackie, could you give us just an update real quick on the vehicles that were purchased? Since that's in this appropriation order?
Oh, you have to turn it on. Okay, yeah, we purchased 6 vehicles. We ended up spending 158,000 out of the 180. We picked up 2 utility beds and then 4 pickups. No, I'm wrong. 3 utility beds and 3 pickups. I'd say if I were to grade it out, it's kind of hard to do it by internet sales, but I think we hit home runs on several of them and grand slams on a couple, and then pretty good on the other one. So we were pretty pleased, and we've got almost all of them here. One of them broke down on the way, but it was a sensor failed. I think it's one of the best trucks, but it dropped to 20 mile an hour. It's still in Nebraska. We'll pick it up tomorrow or Monday. But we were very pleased with what we were able to get.
Got that system figured out? I know that was kind of.
Oh, it was a challenge. I think I made it. It was a learning curve, but I think I've got enough experience out of it that if we have to go back to the well someday, these vehicles are good enough. We don't have to necessarily go for a brand new $90,000 truck that we can pick for $36,000 with low mileage, and that's basically what we did. $90,000 vehicles, new if you could find them, and we got them for 30. 23. We got one for 10,000. That was a little higher mileage, but it turned out it was in extremely good condition. So we were pretty pleased with everything we got.
Good.
Thank you.
Nice work.
That was part of the big chunk on here. That's why I wanted him to
Yeah.
let you know on that, because that was on our last meeting.
I'll move to approve the appropriation order number 2022-04-14.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of vacation and release of easement. That's the Oakwood second plat, lot 1, and Mr. Miller, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I come before you this evening to consider a landowner request for the approval of a vacation and release of a utility easement in part of Oakwood's second plat, lot 1. The lot in question is in the perimeter of Oakwoods. The easements there around the perimeter of the plat are by code to be 20 feet. It seems as though they probably didn't realize that, thought it was a 10-foot easement, so they did build part of the home into the intrusion of that easement. However, the full width of the easement's not necessary to be used. The only utility in there after checking with them is Evergy, and they've agreed to, their plant is farther to the property line, so they've agreed to the vacation of 6 foot of that 20-foot utility easement. The engineers drafted an exhibit attached. Again, as I mentioned, they've received for approval from Evergy and confirmation that there are no other utilities in that particular easement. The partial vacation does not harm the city, but provides obviously substantial relief to the home builder whose foundation is in it. There is no budgetary impact. City attorney has approved the proposed vacation deed, which would be filed at the clerk. With that, staff recommends the governing body approve the partial vacation, authorize Mayor Joe Berkey and Glenda Garrity, city clerk, to execute the attached vacation and release of easement, and direct staff to file the same with the Miami County Register of Deeds. I've attached the vacation document and the exhibit to same. I would be happy to take any questions you might have.
Is it 6 feet of easement that we're vacating? Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay.
What's the exact look? Like, I'm trying to figure out where this is at.
It's second plat, lot 1. And Oakwood's second plat is north of the large lot there, right? Yeah, that's,
And I don't know if you can,
Oakwood's down off Lone Elm, south of South Street,
and
east
I
of Lone
don't,
Elm.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but what was the reason why the house was built on the easement to begin with?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah, I
didn't pick up
thought
that it was a 20 instead of a 10. Most of the time, those easements are 10-foot unless you're on the border of the plat. We do require wider easements along the
Okay.
outside fringes of the plat.
And to be clear, members of the council, mayor, the easement was not purchased by the city. There was no payment for it. It was included in the final plat of a utility easement. So there's no cost to the city. We're vacating part of the land that was given to the city to put utility easements in. And in short, and being quite direct, builder messed up and put the house, made an assumption on the 10-foot. At this point, the builder would be in violation. However, the land in question, the city didn't pay for. It was given to him, which is why it's given to the city, which is why we're deeding it back, or that right to the easement, which is why we're vacating that right to the extent necessary. And while it's 6 feet, it actually, as is described in detail, there's portions of it where it's a little less or a little more. This is to provide, quite frankly, relief to the builder and the homeowner for something that we have no absolute need for. In the future, I'm sure that the builder will have learned, and we are giving them a rather substantial break, but it also avoids any litigation over what's already a poured foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason why I was really asking is to try to prevent it in the future for us and for, the builder.
Yeah, I didn't have any concerns with it. I just wanted to be able to pinpoint where it was on the map.
Yeah.
And there's no other lot that's kind of has the same easement to where we should release for other people too, or is it?
We would not, normally we wouldn't, we usually keep 20 feet because we
Yeah.
may need it if you have multiple utilities. For example, if you have sanitary sewer and power or something go through, some of the utilities have certain clearance requirements on the plat perimeter, so you'd need a wider easement to keep them clear of each other.
Yeah.
So as a general rule, and we just don't, this isn't something that comes up
Yeah, it didn't come up often.
very often. So as a general rule, we have the 20-foot in the code.
Do you have something, Mr. Burton?
Sure, I can address that. If we would have had multiple down through there, we would have made them replatted.
Okay.
In this case, the code really does call for it to be replatted, but just this one area, and this was actually how it got started. It was a change in the land surveyor that they did that draws the plat,
Okay.
or the plot plan, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Any other question? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
If not, I entertain a motion.
So move to approve the partial vacation, authorize Mayor Joe Berkey and Glenda Garrity, clerk, to execute the attached vacation release of easement and direct staff to file same with the Miami County Register of Deeds.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there any further discussion? Not, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0. And the next two items were removed from the agenda per request. So then we will move on to announcements and reports. I do not have any announcements today. Mr. Peel, do you have any announcements? Or reports or anything?
No, no report.
Mr. Van Houten?
No report.
Mr. Young?
No report.
Ms. Noor?
It was a fun Easter egg hunt last Saturday that the Park and Rec put on.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids enjoyed it as well.
All right. Mr. Burton?
Good evening. I have a couple little things here. If you don't know, we did receive a base grant for North Webster. We received $2.7 million. There's only, I believe it was 35 requests that were approved through the entire state, so we feel very fortunate for that. We're already in discussion. I went to the class. I did a webinar yesterday and a class today on it, make sure that we're get going on it, because we only have 6 months to start and 2 years to complete. So we're working with the developers of that property to be able, this base grant is for Webster that would extend from 199th to 191st Street. So it would make that connection through there, and some of that was platted in like 2005 off of 191st. So it's a good start, and before long, we'll have the preliminary plat to you guys on that. We typically don't bring preliminary plats to the council, but in this case, we will, due to circumstances with it on some park ground and things like that. So, and then in conjunction with that, I was already talking to Tyler Ellsworth today, our MON representative, and we'll work on the funding of that. They're looking at a different type of funding for it, where the city would not have any monies in that street. But, most likely we'll just have to temporary note it out first, our portion, and provide that proof that we can pay for, which we can provide proof now, just showing that we can use excise tax funds and things like that. But, the reason that we're gonna have to rush through it is because of the timeline, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Other than that, just to address the phones a little bit, the mayor and I did meet with IT consultant on the phones and all, and they're being worked on. So that'll go from there. Different types of systems and things that I don't know that were looked at. All that was prior to me. Now, the lady from town, she did send me some information, several times actually, but there was no action that was wanted to be made by the governing body. So we're now looking at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dunley.
I have a quick question. Well, I hope it's quick. My question is fairly straightforward, but I do want some direction or request some direction from the governing body in regard to some ordinances. Some are new, some corrected. I have some things that I was informed with the process that I plan to move forward was different than something that had been done in the past, and I would like direction. Would the council, once any ordinances that are drafted are reviewed with the management team, does the council prefer that we then place them directly on the agenda so that you can review, discuss, and approve them at one time? Or would the council prefer for me or whoever to place the new ordinance on the agenda for discussion, then get your feedback, then bring the ordinance with your feedback back at the next meeting? Now, this is a matter of your preference, but it does impacts the speed with which certain things are done. So I would just entertain a bit of guidance from the governing body on that. I will tell you my preference is to just present you the ordinance and discuss it with you. And if you want to make changes or you don't like something, tell me, and then you'll get it back next time. But if you don't, if you're happy with what it is on the first go round, then we save a month or 2 weeks at least.
Can't we always add an agenda item at the time of discussion if we decide we want to just go ahead and approve it?
Well, the difference is whether or not I'm going to present a drafted
Okay.
ordinance to you or not.
And we can
If,
always
if I'm
table
gonna
it
wait
if
for your
it's-
feedback to draft it, it doesn't, in other words, it would cost more money to have me to do both.
twice.
To have it on the
Yeah.
agenda twice instead of once.
Right, now, but if there's a significant reason, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But I'd need to know whether or not this is the final draft or not. If I'm leaving an area open, I won't present it as final.
I definitely err on the side of saving money.
Yeah.
And, if we need to discuss it, or if there's problems with how it's, what's presented, we can always say, this is what we have a problem with, and then we can.
We can always
Back to
table
you
it,
and
yeah.
table it and go to the next meeting once the change has been made.
Yes, and I would consider it my responsibility to get it to management team, staff. for their
That would be
input.
my personal opinion.
I would be in favor of least number of reviews. Like,
Yep.
look at it once. If we need to make changes, goes back, it comes back 2 weeks later. If it does need to make changes, we pass it and get it done with.
Yep.
So you want to have it ready to go the first time, is what you're saying? Or you want to have
I would be okay with that, yes.
Yeah, that's what I agree. I think if we can have it ready,
As opposed
and if
to
we have an issue, we can table it and have it come back, but have it ready to go the first time.
As opposed to having to talk about it to get it ready.
Yeah.
And then have it ready and then go one more time. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That was an issue that came up and I needed to address with you.
All right.
Thank you. We
Anything
will
else?
change our procedures accordingly. No further report.
All right. Chief Henson?
I just wanted to let you guys know, earlier this week, we did Coffee with Cop on Wednesday. It was a successful event. We had a number of people that came out. We partnered with Johnson County Sheriff's Department. They were there with us. It is also Autism Month, and next week, we are doing some training specifically with officers on how to successfully interact with individuals dealing with autism. We also have a tool bag, if you will, of items that we can use to help communicate with someone who might be in crisis that is autistic. And so that training is next week, and you may also see on our vehicles that we're supporting the month by having puzzle ribbons on the back of our vehicles, if you've noticed those or not, but that's what that is for. It is also Telecommunications Week, so we want to thank our first responders who are behind the phones, who ensure that the 911 calls are answered and that they respond, that they get the police to respond accordingly. We were able to go out earlier this week and present them with some cookies and brownies. We need to keep them happy. And so we're very grateful for the relationship that we have with the Sheriff's Department because they do dispatch for us. But this is their special week, and so we just wanted to acknowledge them and show appreciation for all that they do. That's all I have.
All right, Deputy Madam Clerk.
No report.
Ms. Armstrong?
No report.
Ms. Jones?
No report.
Mr. Messer?
Same thing.
All right. I probably stole your report earlier by asking you to talk about the trucks. All right. With that, I entertain a motion to recess into the executive session.
20 or 25 minutes.
Okay. So does somebody entertain a motion if somebody wants to do that?
I move the city council recess into executive session for 25 minutes to receive advice of counsel regarding ongoing litigation pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exemption of KSA 75-4319B2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:10.
Yep.
Persons to be in attendance are the following: Mr. Dunlay, City Attorney; Mr. Burton, Interim City Administrator; Mr. Murphy, Rassman, Dickey Moore, Assigned Counsel.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0.
sir.
All right, let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened into open meeting at 8:10 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. This discussion was limited to the subjects stated. We do not have a need for the second executive session. We didn't know for sure earlier whether we would need it or not. So, with that said, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
I've got a motion and a second. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0. Have a great night, everybody.